Hello everyone, we're back in TXR for one last video as I went through the aftergame, so let's get started. I didn't record my voice while playing it, the aftergame, so instead I'm just going to do a bit of a voiceover for this video only. To start off, I had to race 3 bosses that were Record X, Record 1, and then Record 0. I was also told to defeat every single team and Wanderer in the game. Here you can see that Record X really sets the tone for what's about to come. Even though I was able to complete the main story with no trouble using this Z, Record X is much faster than any of the bosses we encountered. However, that doesn't mean he's good against traffic. After Record X, I ran into Record 1, which appeared to be driving a Mitsubishi GTO that had a front bumper trying to mimic a Corvette C4. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, tell me that's not trying to be a Corvette. But yeah, I did end up losing on my first try against Record 1, just like I did with Record X. However, I managed to beat them on the second pass. However, seeing how this turned out, it really made me think that I would end up having to put my Z away and go for something faster, such as the Lexus LFA. It already took some lucky traffic showing up for me to beat the first 2 record bosses, but then Record 0 is on a completely different level, so I just kind of left it at that and decided to come back with a Lexus LFA. Before bringing out the Lexus LFA, however, I went to the nearby parking area and found Eternal Polaris, who talks about the R33 she used to drive, and how she's been maintaining it ever since, because it's a memento for when the two of you first met. And honestly, I thought that was kinda cute. Eternal Polaris is a very precious character, and she's kinda grown alongside you, the player. And that actually brings me to something I want to talk about before I continue with the post-game. I want to take a moment to talk about the characters of Tokyo Xtreme Racer, because after taking the time to talk to pretty much everyone I meet at the parking areas, I came to realize why this might be another reason why I ended up liking the game so much. Like, not just the races or the physics. The conversations you can see usually involve someone speaking directly to you, or speaking between each other. Some of them are goofy one-offs, like you have the Roulette Guy number 3 evolving into the Wanderer Roulette Guy V3. You also have moments like Jungle Tequila being horny, or Gothic Thylord being creepy. Others will talk about other racers that are usually related to them or someone that they're interested in based on previous games. Other little bits of conversation usually make references to other kinds of car-related media, like you have the Strong Formation team being hired to film a Mad Max movie. However, some of these conversations are also connected, and they really kind of build the world around you, kind of establish what the other racers are doing when you are not present. Stubborn Straight and Money Dream, after apologizing to you, mention several other racers you race in Rise of the New Generation, and how they are banding together around Eternal Polaris to form their own team. After defeating Devil Road Run, she'll try to recruit you to join her own team, which doesn't really seem to exist as she's a character from a different game. There are also story arcs, such as the one with the cross-dressing Heretic Canopus being worried about how his team and Cupid Arrows are having a girls' night out. However, he later becomes an honorary girl, it seems, because Eternal Polaris will talk about how Midnight Rose hosted a second girls' night out and Heretic Canopus was there once again. Eternal Polaris also joins the many other NPCs who did not know Heretic Canopus was a guy. But my favorite little story arc involves Hydro Drift Ninja and the Machine Rangers driver Green Ninja. At first, Hydro Drift Ninja, after defeating him as a Wanderer, hears rumors about another ninja street racer, only to find out that it is Green Ninja of Machine Rangers, who is not a real ninja, but in fact an anime fan who likes ninjas. Green Ninja, however, also seems to hear about Hydro Drift Ninja being an actual ninja, and starts to pester him to train him to become an actual ninja. In fact, I wasn't paying attention to if there was a visual change or not, but Green Ninja eventually says he changed his license plate to a Shiga plate, so that way he meets Hydro Drift Ninja's Wanderer requirements and can race him as a sort of disciple. You don't really see these show up as their own cutscene or anything. It's kind of just a bit of a random flavor text that show up in the parking areas. But I'm really glad it exists because it helps build the world of Tokyo Xtreme Racer, and I think it also makes the game a bit less repetitive than if you were just racing a bunch of randomly generated cars every now and then. The stories you can find in the parking areas show that all these racers are their own people. Their teams have different themes based on why they start racing. They pick certain cars because it fits their personality, and they have different driving styles. Some will try to block you, some will call for help, some will interrupt you in the middle of a race with somebody else. The bits of conversation you can have in the parking areas kind of reflects this, how everyone does stuff differently and has different reasons to race. I think this helps Tokyo Xtreme Racer get around the repetitiveness of just racing on the same course over and over against increasingly faster opponents. Alright, now that that's out of the way, we're getting back into the post-game. I eventually ran into Eternal Polaris, and she was indeed driving her R33. Interestingly enough, she keeps her aura from the R35, along with her level and the skills that she had when racing her as a final boss. However, her car is not upgraded. It's the exact same as you raced it in Stage 2, so she is not that hard of an opponent in the R33. We later run into more story-relevant characters as Wanderers. Here we have Revenge Eyes, the mentor of the current Snake Eyes that you'll meet in the main story. His Supra is much, much faster than Snake Eyes. It's actually pretty close there for a while. He does manage to pull away from the LFA at first, but then I run into the side, and I think I accidentally pushed a traffic car into him, because then he falls really far behind after my little mistake. And then, of course, we beat the original Snake Eyes. We then run into the original Swift Emperor. This is Unrivaled Emperor, who I believe is the Swift Emperor from the previous game, Import Tuner Challenge. As you can tell, his GTR accelerates like a bat out of hell, but then he eventually tops out, and just like the original Swift Emperor, I'm able to beat him on top speed. I actually got lucky here, because as you can see, the Rainbow Bridge was just passed, and I would have crashed and lost all my points if he didn't run out of points right before the turn. This was another wanderer named Cyber Dame, who is supposed to be the mother of the three brothers in Phantom 9. And she appears to be the only opponent that has a Lexus LFA. The race against her probably would have been close, but I think I kind of forced her into a traffic car, so then... yeah, that's kind of how a lot of these late battles go if you don't have the right car for it. I also took this time to do some achievement hunting, such as getting the win a battle that lasts longer than 5 minutes by simply taking advantage of the AI and blocking them for 5 minutes. And since my beloved 350Z wasn't able to keep up with most opponents, I unlocked engine swaps and swapped in Nissan GTR engine into it. The Lexus LFA's V10 probably would have been a better engine to swap in, but I kind of wanted to keep the Nissan V6 going, so I swapped in the VR38 instead. And of course, being an Acceleracers fan, I aimed to hit 300 miles an hour, which I did. And by now, I've reached the end of the game. Once you have beaten every Wanderer, every team, and every boss, the true boss of TXR appears. If the car and color was enough of a giveaway, that license plate should be. This is Tokyo Xtreme Racer's version of the Devil Z. Coincidentally, me finding a Wangan Midnight arcade game as a kid is what led to me wanting to play Tokyo Xtreme Racer today. So this is a fitting final boss.